Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode number 524 of No DQ&A Video. Just one episode away now from 525, but I'll get to that more at the end. Got your questions here from spring.me/Aaron Rift. So let's get started today with the first one from Dave451985. Should WWE focus more on bringing new talent up to the main roster instead of bringing back guys like RVD and Jericho? As much as I like RVD and Jericho, their runs have come up just short, and WWE could utilize those spots to bring in new characters. What I feel is important in WWE is to have a balanced roster. I think it's good to have your top stars, your veterans from the past, and a mix of those guys in addition to young up-and-coming talent. I think that RVD and Jericho serve a good purpose in WWE. They're veterans. They can come in. They can elevate the younger talent. They can give advice to the younger talent. It's just good to have them around. And I think WWE is doing the right thing by bringing them in cycles, having them come in for a few months and then take some time off and then come back. I know some people feel that they're taking the spots that other young talent could possibly have. But at the same time, you do not want to bring up too many young guys at one time. WWE recently brought up Adam Rose and Rusev and Paige, so you don't want to bring up too many people at one time. I think that the main issue is how you've been portraying RVD and Jericho. I think that to get the most out of them, you need to still push them as top superstars. And I think the best way to do it is to have them come in, win some big matches, and then on the way out, put over somebody in a big match. So I wasn't the biggest critic of Chris Jericho beating Bray Wyatt at Battleground because of that idea that Jericho comes in and he gets a big win, so people take him seriously. Maybe he could have faced somebody else and then lost to Bray Wyatt, or they could have done the series of 3 and had Jericho win the second match. But I do think that it's important to push RVD and Jericho when they come in and not just have them come in and do nothing but jobs, because then it doesn't really mean much. So it's all about balancing and not doing too much of one thing, not having the guys come in and lose too much, not bringing them in for too long a period of time, and not bringing in too many young talent at one time. You got to focus on a few guys at a time and not bloat up your roster too much. All right, this next one comes from GTFO. It's Dave. When, if the Wyatt family breaks up, who out of the 3 do you see turning their back on the family? What I think is going to happen is we're going to see Harper and Rowan turn on Bray Wyatt, and that will lead to a Bray Wyatt run as a babyface. I also got this question here from Shade Hedgehog. Where do you see the character of Bray Wyatt going in the next few months? I think that what's going to happen is Bray Wyatt will go off on his own as a babyface. We'll see the split of the Wyatt family, which, by the way, I really do feel is overdue. I feel that the Wyatt family as a heel faction has been played out. It's run its course, and I think it's time to turn Bray Wyatt and let him be a fan favorite. The fans are already cheering for him as it is. They like the entrance. They like the character. And I see a lot of similarities between Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker. When The Undertaker came in, he was this unique character. He was this dark monster heel. And then he turned babyface and he became one of the most popular stars in the company. So I could very well see the same thing happening with Bray Wyatt. And I know that some people talk about how Bray Wyatt has already peaked in WWE. I don't feel that that's necessarily the case. I think with a babyface turn, that will give him a fresh start, and that will give him the opportunity to perhaps be a major superstar in WWE. So I definitely feel he should turn babyface, and I think it'll happen soon. I think it'll happen before the end of the year, going into next year's WrestleMania. Bray Wyatt getting a new start as a babyface, and we'll see where the character goes. All right, this one comes from Brock the Animal. Hey Aaron, why do fans still chant for CM Punk? I get that they miss him, but he's not a Stone Cold or a Hogan or Rock. He's a star, but he's not a massive draw. What can you see him doing in the future outside of wrestling? Do you think he could try MMA? Thanks. Well, I think that fans chant for CM Punk for a few reasons. I do feel that they miss him, and even though he's not as big of a star as Hogan or Austin or Rock, he still has a very strong cult following. There's still a lot of people out there that feel that CM Punk is number one and the best in the world and all that jazz. So they continue to chant for him. They want him back, even though it's out of WWE's hands. And I also think that they're rebelling. It's a way to annoy WWE. The fans know that by chanting that, WWE doesn't like it, and the fans can get under the skin of Triple H and Stephanie and all those people in WWE. So I think that that's another reason why they do it. As far as what he's going to do in the future, I think he's happy just keeping a low profile. I really don't see him getting too much involved. He's a very private person. And I think as far as doing MMA, it's probably too late for him. He's probably too old at this point. And, his body was hurting in WWE. So, I mean, maybe on a low level he could try it. But, he'll do whatever he wants to do. But as far as doing something high profile, I think that he's going to continue just doing little projects here and there. And for the most part, staying out of the limelight. All right, this one comes from Rosebud Peep. The wrestling fans seem okay with Brock Lesnar squashing John Cena. How do you think it would have gone with the audience if the champ was getting squashed was Bryan? Your question is, how do you think it would have gone with the audience if the champ getting squashed was Bryan? Well, if Daniel Bryan had faced Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, which was the original plan in WWE before Bryan got hurt, I think that Bryan would have been in that Cena role where he would have gotten destroyed by Brock Lesnar. And it's funny because I do think there would have been a much more negative reaction if it was Daniel Bryan getting killed by Brock Lesnar instead of John Cena. Because John Cena is John Cena and people don't like the guy. They were happy seeing him get beat. And I think people were happy because the John Cena character is always unstoppable. He always overcomes the odds. And this time, it did not happen. So fans were happy about that. With Bryan, I think people would have been upset. I mean, maybe it would have been more of a back-and-forth match with Bryan and Lesnar. But coming off the conquering of The Undertaker's streak, Brock Lesnar would need to look as strong as possible. And if he could beat Undertaker, certainly he could wipe the ring clean with Daniel Bryan. Yeah, I think a lot of people would have been upset about that if it was Bryan instead of Cena. But, it's still, whether it's Bryan or Cena, the idea is you got to make Brock Lesnar look as much of a conquering beast as possible coming off that win at WrestleMania. All right, this one comes from Carbold Tunnel. Hey, Aaron, how would you describe a failed title reign? Like, for example, if you feel like a certain wrestler didn't seem right winning the title, or if you remember that wrestler as champion. I always forgot that Swagger was ECW, US, and World Champion. Well, when it comes to the world title and being the world champion, the world champion should be the guy who is seen as the best. You believe that this guy is number one, nobody can beat him. That's the old school way of looking at it. And traditionally, the champion was also the biggest draw in the promotion. The problem is with guys like Jack Swagger, WWE put the title on them, but WWE still saw guys like Jack Swagger as a mid-card wrestler. And because of that, they booked Jack Swagger as a mid-carder, despite the fact that he had the world title. So it watered down the title. And, when you look at failed title reigns over the years, definitely Swagger with the way he was portrayed. Rey Mysterio, he won the title and then he kept losing every match. It's not good to have a champion who is seen as a fluke champion. And then going back to what I mentioned before with the drawing power, some people would look at Diesel's reign as WWE champion as a failure because when he was champion, business was not good in WWE. Because of the fact that the house show numbers were down and pay-per-view buy rates were down, people look at Diesel as a failed champion. There's various reasons why title reigns are seen as failures. To me, a failed title reign would be one that's forgettable or one where you put the title on a guy who isn't credible as a world champion. I mean, Diesel was definitely credible, but for whatever reason, he just didn't bring in the numbers. So, it's a combination of being able to draw and having the credibility. All right, this one comes from the Naked Ninja. Hey Aaron, what level of success do you see GFW achieving? Do you see them being a big indie promotion like Ring of Honor or taking the same route as TNA? I don't think they will ever be competition for WWE, but I'm happy if they make a solid second best promotion. Well, right now, I mean, it's really too early to tell with GFW. Like I said, I keep trying to call it GWF, the Global Wrestling Federation. I'm really not a big fan of the name for that reason. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, it's hard to say. I would like to say that they have a good chance of being successful, but it's very difficult to start up a new wrestling promotion and have it work. TNA got lucky because they started off doing the weekly pay-per-views, and they were struggling. They were on the verge of going under, and then Dixie Carter and Panda Energy stepped in and pumped all the money into TNA, and they were able to survive and then eventually get on television. So it's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of talent, a lot of patience, and just the stars aligning properly for GFW to succeed. I think it's good that Jeff Jarrett's not rushing the project. I mean, he's been talking about it for a while now, and he's been slowly building it up, so that's a good thing. You don't want to get it off the ground too quickly. You want to have a game plan. You want to take your time with it. So Jeff Jarrett's been around for a long time, so if anybody can do it, it would be him with his experience level. So we'll see. It's going to be an uphill battle for him, no doubt, but let's just cross our fingers and hope that he can make this promotion a success, because if it's good for him, it's good for everybody. It's good for the fans. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it on Facebook and Twitter, and send in your questions for episode number 525. That will be a special extended edition of No DQ&A video. So get your questions in, and I'll see you next time.